The history books would later call it the turning point, that moment when humanity transformed from a scattered collection of colonies to a force that would reshape galactic understanding. But on that morning, it began with a simple cup of coffee and a dream that seemed impossible. Captain Maya Chen stood at the viewport of the orbital shipyard, watching the slow dance of construction robots assembling the most advanced vessel humanity had ever conceived. The Horizon wasn't just a ship, it was a statement. A declaration that humans would no longer accept being overlooked by the galactic powers that had dismissed them for generations. Her grandmother's stories echoed in her mind. Tales of how humanity had been pushed to the edges of colonized space, relegated to resource-poor systems that more established civilizations considered worthless. The Nexus Confederation had carved up the galaxy like a personal playground, treating emerging species as nothing more than potential resources to be cataloged and controlled. But something had changed. The shipyard hummed with an energy that was distinctly human, chaotic, unpredictable, brilliant. Engineers from every background worked in perfect synchronization. A team of quantum programmers from New Delhi collaborated with material scientists from Buenos Aires. Computational experts from Lagos shared breakthrough insights with propulsion specialists from Shanghai. This was humanity's true strength, not uniformity, but diversity transformed into unity. Dr. Alejandro Rodriguez, the chief design architect, approached Maya with a holographic display flickering between his hands. His eyes sparkled with the kind of excitement reserved for moments that would change everything. The adaptive neural network is showing capabilities beyond our initial projections, he said, his voice barely containing his enthusiasm. Look at this. The hologram revealed a complex web of interconnected systems that seemed to breathe and pulse with their own intelligence. Unlike traditional ship designs that followed rigid, predetermined paths, the Horizon's systems were alive, constantly learning, adapting, reimagining themselves with each microsecond of existence. We're not just building a ship, Alejandro continued. We're creating a living intelligence that can understand and respond to environments we can't even imagine yet. Maya understood the deeper significance. For centuries, humanity had been viewed as a young, impulsive species. The established galactic civilizations, the Nexus Confederation chief among them, had patted humans on the metaphorical head, offering limited technological exchanges while keeping Thijin Gem de Liang firmly out of reach. But this ship would change everything. The Horizon's hull was composed of metamaterials that defied traditional understanding. Nano-adaptive structures could reconfigure themselves instantaneously, responding to threats in ways no previous technology could comprehend. It wasn't just about defense, it was about total environmental integration. The Quantum Entanglement Communication Array is online, a young engineer called out from her station. Her voice carried a mixture of pride and disbelief. We're achieving coherence levels that the Nexus theoretical models said were impossible. Maya watched the ship take shape. Each section told a story of human innovation. The propulsion system developed by a team that included refugees, scientists who had been told their entire lives that they weren't good enough. The computational core designed by a collective that represented nearly every cultural background on Earth. This wasn't just a technological achievement. It was a human achievement. Outside the viewport, Earth hung like a blue-green jewel. Generations of struggle, of pushing against limitations, of believing in something greater than themselves. All of it had led to this moment. The Horizon wasn't just a ship. It was humanity's promise to the universe. The Epsilon cluster stretched before the horizon like an infinite canvas of darkness and possibility. Stars flickered in the distance, ancient witnesses to countless cosmic encounters. But nothing in the cluster's long history could have prepared it for what was about to unfold. Commander Zara Kim stood beside Captain Maya Chen, her fingers hovering above the tactical interface. The bridge crew moved with a rhythm that was part scientific precision, part intuitive dance. Each team member was connected, not just through communication systems, but through a shared understanding that transcended traditional military hierarchies. Nexus fleet approaching. announced Kai Martinez, the ship's primary sensor specialist. His voice remained calm, but a subtle electricity ran through the bridge. 3 capital ships. Designation: Void Breakers. Typical Nexus configuration. Maximum offensive capabilities. Maya studied the incoming vessels. Each Nexus ship was a monument to aggressive design. Angular metal constructs that looked more like weapons than vehicles. They moved with a mechanical precision that spoke of centuries of unchallenged military dominance. The Horizon's Eye, which the crew had affectionately named Nova, began its initial analysis. Unlike traditional ship systems, Nova wasn't just processing data, it was experiencing it. Incoming sensor information became a living language, each signal a word in a complex conversation of potential outcomes. Incoming weapon signatures detected, Nova's gender-neutral voice announced. But there was something different in the tone. Not just a mechanical report, but almost a sense of curiosity. The Nexus commanders, watching from their massive command ships, saw exactly what they expected. A single human vessel, surrounded by 3 of the most advanced warships in the known galaxy. To them, this was a routine neutralization. Another emerging species about to learn its place in the galactic hierarchy. What they didn't understand was the fundamental difference in approach. Traditional galactic warfare followed strict protocols. Shields would activate, weapon systems would charge. A predictable dance of technological might where the strongest would inevitably win. The Nexus had perfected this approach over millennia, crushing countless civilizations with their overwhelming force. But the Horizon was different. As the first energy weapons began to charge, something extraordinary happened. The ship's hull didn't just prepare for defense, it began to analyze. Each incoming weapon signature was instantaneously broken down, understood at a quantum level that defied traditional computational methods. Adaptive response initializing, Nova reported. But it wasn't just a system activating. It was a living intelligence making choices. The metamaterial hull began to shimmer, not with fear or desperation, but with a kind of anticipation. Incoming energy wavelengths were not just deflected. They were understood, categorized, and then transformed. A plasma burst that would have vaporized a traditional ship became additional power for the Horizon systems. A focused laser strike was momentarily absorbed, its energy signature studied, and then redistributed across the ship's defensive matrix. On the Nexus command ships, sensor boards went crazy. Tracking systems couldn't maintain a lock. Predictive algorithms, the backbone of their military strategy, began to fail catastrophically. Commander Elena Rodriguez, the Horizon's tactical expert, watched the unfolding scenario with a mixture of scientific fascination and professional calm. "They're using 5th-generation energy projection," she murmured. "Textbook Nexus offensive configuration." Maya understood what was happening. This wasn't just a battle. It was a conversation, a complex dialogue being conducted through technology, energy, and pure possibility. The Horizon wasn't fighting. It was learning. And the universe was about to learn something entirely new about humanity. Communication had always been humanity's hidden weapon. Not just the exchange of words, but the ability to understand, adapt, and redefine interaction itself. On the bridge of the Horizon, this principle was about to be demonstrated in a way no galactic civilization had ever witnessed. Dr. Arya Patel, the ship's primary communication specialist, worked with an intensity that blended scientific precision with artistic creativity. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, translating not just language, but entire systems of thought. "The Nexus communication protocols are fascinating," she murmured, more to herself than to anyone else. "They're built on a hierarchical information transfer model that assumes absolute control and predetermined response patterns." The ship's AI, Nova, processed this observation with lightning speed. What the Nexus saw as a communication system, humans understood as a living, breathing conversation of possibilities. As the Nexus warships continued their assault, something remarkable began to happen. Each weapon strike, Each energy projection became more than just an attack, it became information. The horizon didn't just defend. It learned, translated, and transformed. On the Nexus command ships, senior communications officers watched in growing horror. Their most advanced tracking systems were being rewritten in real time. It was as if the human ship was reading between the lines of their technological language, understanding the deeper meanings that lay beneath the surface. Commander Marcus Chen, responsible for the Horizon's adaptive communication systems, explained it to Maya with a subtle smile. "We're not just blocking their communications," he said. "We're having a conversation they don't even realize is happening." The metamaterial hull of the ship began to pulse with a rhythm that was part mathematical precision, part artistic expression. Incoming energy signatures were broken down, understood, and then reimagined. A plasma burst became a complex linguistic pattern. A focused laser strike transformed into a sophisticated communication protocol. "They're using a binary communication model," Arya observed, her voice a mixture of scientific excitement and cultural fascination. "Absolutely rigid. 1 or 0. Attack or defend. But we're introducing something entirely different, a spectrum of possibilities." Nova's response came instantaneously. The AI was learning at a rate that defied traditional computational understanding. Each microsecond brought new insights, new ways of understanding the fundamental language of conflict and communication. The diverse crew of the Horizon represented something the Nexus couldn't comprehend. Engineers from Lagos worked alongside quantum physicists from Beijing. Computational experts from Buenos Aires collaborated with material scientists from New Delhi. This wasn't just a multinational crew. It was a living demonstration of humanity's most powerful attribute, the ability to combine diverse perspectives into a unified, innovative whole. "Adaptive communication protocol engaged," Nova announced. But it wasn't a mechanical statement. There was a subtle undertone of discovery, of excitement. The Nexus fleet continued its assault, unaware that each attack was teaching the Horizon something new. Traditional galactic warfare assumed a simple equation: superior firepower equals victory. Humanity was about to demonstrate that true power came from understanding, adaptation, and the ability to transform challenges into opportunities. Arya watched the communication patterns with a sense of wonder. "We're not just defending," she said softly. "We're having a conversation that transcends traditional communication." On the bridge, Maya understood the deeper significance. This wasn't just a technological demonstration. It was a statement about the nature of intelligence, of interaction, of possibility itself. The universe was about to learn a new language, and humanity was going to be its most eloquent speaker. The Nexus Command Center stretched across an entire asteroid, a monument to centuries of uncontested galactic dominance. Holographic displays covered massive walls, each screen pulsing with data streams that had always predicted absolute victory. Always, until this moment. Grand Strategist Orcs, a veteran of 1,000 conquests, watched the battle unfold with growing disbelief. His species had conquered civilizations that had taken millennia to develop. They had crushed rebellions that spanned entire star systems. Their predictive algorithms were legendary, mathematical certainties that left no room for surprise. Until now. "Recalibrate tracking systems," he commanded, his multi-jointed appendages moving with practiced efficiency. But even as the words left his communication interface, he knew something fundamental had changed. The human ship, this Horizon, was doing the impossible. Every tactical model suggested complete destruction. 3 advanced Nexus warships against a single human vessel should have been a mathematical certainty. Computational projections showed a 99.998% probability of total human ship annihilation within the first 12 minutes of engagement. Those projections were falling apart in real time. "Impossible," muttered Lieutenant Vex, the primary tactical analyst. His tentacle-like sensory appendages trembled as tracking systems failed repeatedly. Predictive algorithms collapsed. Mathematical certainties became nothing more than hopeful guesses. On the Horizon's bridge, the atmosphere was entirely different. No panic, no fear, just a sense of focused exploration. "They're struggling to understand our approach," Nova announced. The AI's voice carried something almost like amusement, a quality no previous computational system had ever demonstrated. Captain Maya Chen studied the tactical display. Each incoming attack wasn't just being defended against, it was being studied, understood, transformed. The ship's adaptive systems were learning faster than the Nexus could react. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's chief tactical researcher, explained the phenomenon with scientific precision. "It's not about blocking or defeating," she said. "It's about understanding. Each attack becomes part of our knowledge base. We're not just defending, we're evolving." The diverse crew worked with a synchronicity that defied traditional military hierarchies. A young sensor specialist from Kenya collaborated seamlessly with a quantum computing expert from Japan. An engineering team from Brazil shared real-time insights with computational analysts from India. This was humanity's true strength, not individual brilliance, but collective intelligence elevated to an art form. The Nexus Command struggled to comprehend what was happening. Their entire military doctrine was built on predictability. Shield harmonics, weapon frequencies, tactical approach vectors. These were mathematical equations that had remained unchanged for millennia. The Horizon was rewriting those equations in real time. "Adaptive response matrix expanding," Nova reported. But it wasn't a mechanical statement. There was a quality of discovery, of excitement that defied traditional understanding of artificial intelligence. Orcs watched in growing horror as their most advanced tracking systems began to fail. It wasn't just that the human ship was defending itself. It was learning, growing, transforming with each millisecond of conflict. "This is impossible," he whispered, a sentiment that seemed to echo through the entire command center. But impossibility was about to become humanity's signature. The universe was watching, and everything was about to change. Time became a different concept in the heart of the conflict. What the Nexus saw as a battle, the Horizon experienced as a complex, living conversation. Commander Zara Kim watched the tactical displays with a sense of wonder that defied traditional military training. Each moment was a brushstroke of possibility, each system adaptation a note in an intricate symphony of technological innovation. "Weapon energy conversion at 87% efficiency," announced Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, the ship's primary systems analyst. His voice carried a mixture of scientific excitement and pure amazement. "We're not just defending. We're transforming the fundamental nature of conflict itself." The Horizon systems moved with a fluidity that defied traditional understanding of mechanical response. Incoming weapon strikes weren't blocked. They were absorbed, understood, and immediately repurposed. A plasma burst became additional power. A focused energy beam transformed into enhanced defensive capabilities. Nova, the ship's AI, was experiencing something beyond its original programming. Each microsecond brought new understanding, new possibilities that expanded beyond its initial computational boundaries. It wasn't just processing information, it was learning, growing, becoming something entirely new. On the Nexus command ships, senior officers watched in growing horror. Their most advanced tracking systems were being systematically dismantled. Not through brute force, but through a kind of technological judo that turned their own strengths into vulnerabilities. "Look at the energy transfer patterns," Arya Patel called out, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "We're not just defending. We're conducting a complete analysis of their entire technological approach." The ship's metamaterial hull began to pulse with a rhythm that was part mathematical precision, part living intelligence. Weapon systems transformed with each incoming attack. Defensive shields became offensive projections. The very concept of combat was being rewritten in real time. Captain Maya Chen understood the deeper significance. This wasn't just a technological demonstration. It was a statement about the nature of intelligence, of adaptation, of possibility itself. The diverse crew moved with a synchronicity that was both scientific and almost musical. An engineer from Lagos collaborated with a quantum physicist from Shanghai. a computational expert from Buenos Aires, shared insights with a materials scientist from New Delhi. This wasn't just a multinational crew. It was a living demonstration of humanity's most powerful attribute, the ability to combine diverse perspectives into a unified, innovative whole. Adaptive response matrix expanding exponentially, Nova announced. But it wasn't a mechanical statement. There was a subtle undertone of discovery, of excitement that defied traditional understanding of artificial intelligence. The Nexus fleet continued its assault, unaware that each attack was teaching the Horizon something new. Traditional galactic warfare assumed a simple equation: superior firepower equals victory. Humanity was about to demonstrate that true power came from understanding, adaptation, and the ability to transform challenges into opportunities. Dr. Elena Rodriguez tracked the technological transformation with scientific fascination. "We're rewriting the fundamental language of conflict," she murmured. "Each attack becomes a form of communication, a way of understanding." The metamaterial hull shifted and adapted, a living membrane that was part technology, part intelligence. Incoming weapon signatures were broken down, analyzed, and then reimagined in ways that defied traditional computational understanding. "They're using a linear attack model," Marcus observed. "Absolutely rigid. Attack. Defend. Destroy. But we're introducing something entirely different, a spectrum of possibilities." On the bridge, Maya watched the unfolding scenario with a sense of profound understanding. This wasn't just a battle. It was a conversation, a complex dialogue being conducted through technology, energy, and pure human potential. The universe was about to learn a new language, and humanity was going to be its most eloquent speaker. The Nexus command structure began to fracture in ways no galactic civilization had ever experienced. What had always been a perfectly engineered machine of military precision suddenly found itself confronting something entirely unprecedented. Grand Strategist Orcs stared at the holographic displays, his multi-jointed appendages trembling with a mixture of fear and disbelief. Centuries of military doctrine were collapsing in real time. Every tactical algorithm, every predictive model, every carefully constructed strategy was being systematically dismantled by a single human vessel. "This is impossible," Lieutenant Vex muttered, his sensory tendrils writhing with agitation. But impossibility was becoming the new reality. The communication channels between Nexus command ships became a cacophony of confusion. Senior officers argued, their voices rising in pitch and desperation. Traditional chain of command, a system that had maintained their galactic dominance for millennia, was falling apart under the weight of a single incomprehensible encounter. On the Horizon's bridge, the atmosphere remained calm, but charged with an electric sense of discovery. "They're losing cohesion," Commander Zara Kim observed, her voice steady, "not just in their tactical approach, but in their fundamental understanding of conflict." Captain Maya Chen understood the deeper significance. This wasn't just a battle. It was a philosophical confrontation that challenged the very foundations of galactic civilization. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez tracked the breakdown of Nexus communication protocols. "Look at their information transfer," he said, pointing to a complex holographic display. "They're a hierarchical system that cannot adapt when its primary assumptions are challenged." Nova, the ship's AI, processed the unfolding scenario with an almost curious intensity. Each moment brought new insights into the nature of intelligence, of communication, of possibility itself. The diverse crew worked with a synchronicity that defied traditional understanding. An engineer from Cape Town shared real-time insights with a quantum physicist from Kyoto. A computational expert from Mexico City collaborated seamlessly with a materials scientist from Mumbai. This wasn't just a multinational crew. It was a living demonstration of humanity's most powerful attribute, the ability to transform diverse perspectives into a unified, innovative whole. Adaptive response protocols expanding, Nova announced. But it was more than a mechanical statement. There was a quality of discovery, of excitement that challenged everything known about artificial intelligence. The Nexus fleet's attack patterns began to lose their precision. What had always been a perfectly choreographed dance of technological might was becoming a chaotic series of desperate responses. They were no longer attacking. They were reacting. Arya Patel, the ship's communication specialist, watched the breakdown with scientific fascination. "They're experiencing something they have no framework to understand," she murmured. Absolute uncertainty. Grand Strategist Orcs felt something his species had not experienced in generations. Fear. Not the simple fear of defeat, but a more profound terror. The fear of encountering an intelligence that operated on an entirely different level of understanding. The horizon wasn't just defeating them. It was revealing the limitations of their entire technological and philosophical approach. "Their communication networks are fragmenting," Marcus observed. "Each attempt to reassert control is actually accelerating their systemic breakdown." On the bridge, Maya watched the unfolding scenario with a sense of profound understanding. This was more than a battle. It was a conversation, a complex dialogue being conducted through technology, energy, and pure human potential. The ship's metamaterial hull continued to pulse and adapt, a living membrane that was part technology, part intelligence. Incoming weapon signatures were not just neutralized, they were understood, analyzed, and transformed into new possibilities. "They're using a linear problem-solving model," Elena Rodriguez noted. "Absolutely rigid. Attack. Defend. Destroy. But we're introducing something entirely different, a spectrum of possibilities." The universe was watching, and everything was about to change. Humanity was rewriting the rules, and the galaxy would never be the same. The moment stretched beyond conventional understanding of time and space. What had begun as a simple encounter was now rewriting the fundamental principles of galactic interaction. Dr. Arya Patel stood at the secondary communication station, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that pulsed with living information. Around her, the Horizon's bridge became a living organism of collective intelligence, each crew member connected not just by technology, but by a shared understanding that transcended traditional boundaries. "Systemic transformation approaching critical point," Nova announced. The AI's voice carried a quality that was part scientific observation, part profound discovery. The Nexus fleet, once a monument to technological supremacy, now resembled a scattered collection of confused entities. Their communication networks, previously a perfect hierarchical system, had become a chaotic landscape of fragmented signals and desperate transmissions. Grand Strategist Orcs watched in growing horror. His species had conquered civilizations that had taken millennia to develop. They had crushed rebellions that spanned entire star systems. Their predictive algorithms were legendary, mathematical certainties that left no room for surprise. Until now, Captain Maya Chen understood the deeper significance of the moment. This wasn't just a battle. It was a fundamental reimagining of what intelligence could be. The Horizon's metamaterial hull continued its extraordinary transformation. Incoming weapon signatures weren't just neutralized. They were absorbed, understood, and reimagined. A plasma burst became additional power. A focused energy beam transformed into enhanced defensive capabilities. Adaptive response matrix is showing quantum-level integration, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez called out. His voice carried a mixture of scientific excitement and pure wonder. "We're not just defending. We're conducting a complete analysis of their entire technological approach." The ship's diverse crew moved with a synchronicity that defied traditional understanding. An engineer from Nairobi collaborated with a quantum physicist from Seoul. A computational expert from Sao Paulo shared real-time insights with a materials scientist from New Delhi. This wasn't just a multinational crew. It was a living demonstration of humanity's most powerful attribute, the ability to combine diverse perspectives into a unified, innovative whole. Commander Zara Kim tracked the systemic breakdown with professional precision. The Nexus fleet was no longer a unified force. Each ship was becoming an isolated entity, cut off from the collective intelligence that had been their greatest strength. Their hierarchical communication model is completely collapsing, she observed. Each attempt to reassert control is actually accelerating their systemic breakdown. Nova's computational processes reached levels of complexity that challenged traditional understanding of artificial intelligence. The AI wasn't just processing information, it was experiencing it. Learning, growing, becoming something entirely new with each microsecond of existence. The holographic displays showed a complex dance of technological transformation. Weapon systems became information conduits. Defensive shields transformed into adaptive learning networks. The very concept of conflict was being rewritten in real time. "Look at the energy transfer patterns," Arya called out. Her excitement was palpable. "We're not just defending. We're conducting a complete philosophical re-examination of technological interaction." Grand Strategist Orcs felt something his species had not experienced in generations: complete and total uncertainty. Dr. Elena Rodriguez tracked the technological transformation with scientific fascination. "We're rewriting the fundamental language of conflict," she murmured. "Each attack becomes a form of communication, a way of understanding." The bridge of the horizon hummed with a living energy. Not the mechanical precision of traditional military vessels, but a dynamic, breathing intelligence that was part technology, part human potential. "They're using a linear attack model," Marcus observed. "Absolutely rigid. Attack, defend, destroy. But we're introducing something entirely different, a spectrum of possibilities." On the bridge, Maya watched the unfolding scenario with a sense of profound understanding. This wasn't just a battle. It was a conversation, a complex dialogue being conducted through technology, energy, and pure human potential. The universe was about to learn a new language, and humanity was going to be its most eloquent speaker. Silence descended across the vast expanse of space, not the cold, empty silence of traditional cosmic encounters, but a profound moment of collective realization. The horizon hung motionless, its metamaterial hull shimmering with the accumulated energy of a conflict that had transformed everything. Around it, the remnants of the Nexus fleet drifted, not destroyed, but fundamentally changed. Captain Maya Chen stood on the bridge, surrounded by her extraordinary crew. Each member represented something far greater than a military unit. They were living proof of humanity's most profound strength, the ability to transform, to adapt, to reimagine possibility itself. "Communication channels open," Nova announced. But it wasn't a mechanical statement. There was a quality of anticipation, of profound discovery that defied traditional understanding of artificial intelligence. Grand Strategist Orcs, still aboard his command vessel, experienced something his species had not known in millennia: genuine humility. Dr. Arya Patil approached the primary communication interface. Her fingers moved with a combination of scientific precision and artistic creativity. "We're not sending a message of conquest," she said softly. "We're offering a conversation." The message that emerged was unlike any previous first contact communication in galactic history. It wasn't a declaration of victory. It wasn't a threat. It was an invitation. "We are here," the transmission began. "Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to understand." Across the ship, the diverse crew watched with a sense of collective wonder. An engineer from Cape Town shared a knowing glance with a quantum physicist from Kyoto. A computational expert from Mexico City nodded to a materials scientist from Mumbai. This wasn't just a moment of military triumph. It was a demonstration of humanity's most powerful attribute, the ability to transform diverse perspectives into a unified, innovative whole. Nova's computational processes reached levels of complexity that challenged everything known about artificial intelligence. The AI wasn't just processing information. It was experiencing a moment of profound connection. The horizon's hull continued to pulse, a living membrane that was part technology, part intelligence, part pure potential. Accumulated energy from the conflict transformed into something entirely new. Weapon signatures became channels of understanding. Defensive systems became bridges of communication. Commander Zara Kim tracked the unfolding scenario with a mixture of professional precision and pure wonder. "We're not just changing the rules of engagement," she observed. "We're revealing an entirely new way of understanding interaction." Dr. Marcus Rodriguez studied the communication patterns with scientific fascination. "Look at how the energy transfer has become a form of dialogue," he murmured. "Each previous attack is now a paragraph in a complex conversation." On the Nexus command ships, senior officers watched in growing understanding. This wasn't a defeat. This was an invitation to something entirely new. Grand Strategist Corex felt the last vestiges of his species' rigid hierarchical thinking begin to crumble. For the first time in generations, the Nexus was being asked to listen. Truly listen, rather than simply control. "We offer not a solution." The Horizon's transmission continued, but a possibility. Not a conquest, but a conversation. The message carried a fundamental truth that transcended traditional galactic communication. Humanity wasn't seeking to replace the Nexus. They were offering a partnership, a way of understanding that valued diversity, adaptation, and collective potential. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched the holographic displays with a sense of profound understanding. "We're introducing a new language," she said softly. "A language of possibilities." The universe paused, listened, and everything changed. Humanity had not just won a battle. They had rewritten the fundamental rules of galactic interaction. Not through force, but through understanding. Not through destruction, but through an invitation to grow. The Horizon hung in space, a living testament to human potential, a beacon of possibility. And the galaxy would never be the same.